named Samare Armstrong weighed in on the identitarian oppression that is afoot in Hollywood at present. Take a listen. She was an actress. I guess she was in the OC, some other things I haven't seen. But anyway, her perspective.
Over the last 6 years, I've heard nonstop, they're not looking for white. It's going to diverse. They liked you, but you're white. And, you know, I kept that to myself in silence because on the one hand, it's like, hooray, like, great, diversity's finally here. Oscars were so white for decades, you know? But the pendulum has swung so far. I think nowadays it's different for the sake of being different because it's politically correct. You know, like, we're gonna fit this transgender character in here now that we're PC. Natural organic stories stopped being told, and you had to make a checklist of what was acceptable. You know, all the nuances of art disappeared, and shouldn't it be about talent? Shouldn't it be about merit or capability or effective storytelling or emotional presence? You gotta wonder, what's the point of acting school and putting this time into developing the craft if that doesn't matter anymore?
We like you, but you're white. And even when you do have conservative minorities produce artistic work, films and documentaries, it's a fight, isn't it? We've seen that, our friends Shelby and Eli Steele, with the fight they got in with Amazon over What Killed Michael Brown, their documentary. We've seen that with our friend Larry Elder in his film. We've seen that with the Clarence Thomas documentary being taken down. Essentially the biographical documentary on Clarence Thomas being taken down during Black History Month, taken down from Amazon. So even if there is, and I'm sure there are, Black or Latino, John Milius is out there, Orson Welles is out there, can they get any work in Hollywood? Can they get any financing so that they can produce great art? Well, let's put that question to our friend Christian Toto. He's the editor of Hollywood in Toto, that's T-O-T-O, HollywoodinToto.com, and he just did a very interesting piece for RealClearInvestigations.com on this very topic. Christian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Do we have Christian?
Christian, are you there?
Christian Toto, do we have him? Okay, well, let's take a break and see if we can get Christian Toto back on the line. We'll be right back.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen up. You got tax problems, you want the IRS off of your ASS. Whether you're an individual or a business and are having problems with the IRS, let PJN Tax Solutions Group help you solve your problems. We aren't one of those large, out-of-state 1-800 firms. We're a local tax resolution firm located here in St. Charles, Illinois. Our fees are fixed, so there's no ugly surprises at the end of the engagement. We will represent you in front of the IRS, allowing you to continue on with your life. You will not have to speak with an IRS agent. Would you go to court without an attorney? Then why would you represent yourself in front of the IRS? We offer a free consultation. Call PJN Tax Solutions Group today at 630-415-5296. Once again, 630-415-5296, or better yet, visit our website at pjntaxsolutions.com. PJN Tax Solutions Group. Call us when you want the IRS off of your ASS.
Hi, break time?
I know you.
I'm ColaGuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. It seems like you take care of yourself.
I do. I play tennis. I try to eat well.
What about screening for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. Colon cancer is more treatable when it's caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
ColaGuard is non-invasive and is used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. ColaGuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if ColaGuard is right for you, or visit requestcolaguard.com.
I'm on it.
Excellent.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan and Amy, we have Christian Toto back on the line, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No problem.
The remarks from Samir Armstrong and what you heard me talking about in terms of even if you have talented minority filmmakers and screenwriters and so forth, can they get work? Can they get financing in Hollywood? That seems to be an open question that you somewhat explored in your piece at RealClearInvestigations.com.
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis. It's not easy. And even when you think you've reached it, there are new obstacles along the way, which you mentioned with some of the documentaries, and that's what's most frustrating about it. It's bad enough that people have to work around the existing system, and they're kind of losing out on sort of resources and, all the media apparatus that traditional filmmakers have. Then they kind of come up against these new obstacles. It's like, you can't win, but, a lot of filmmakers are trying. They are having some success, and it can be done. It's just really hard.
We talked to the gentleman who produced the Clarence Thomas film Created Equal, Michael Pack, and he that was taken down during Black History Month, and I mentioned, and Justin Folk, who produced Safe Spaces along with Dennis Prager, and I thought Folk had something interesting that I'm sure is applicable to these other filmmakers who struggle to get their films on the streaming services and general attention so people can consume them. Justin Folk said that in one they couldn't get into the Telluride Festival with no safe spaces. In one case, a major distributor actually admitted to us that they think our film is a winner, but they can't get behind it because Dennis Prager is in it. Oh yes, Dennis Prager, this firebrand rabbi, that radical Dennis Prager. I mean, it's just so remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, you could find someone on the ideological left who is maybe similar to Dennis Prager, and you know that he or she would not cause a ripple of a problem within the Hollywood community. Or you could have people who are far more toxic, like an Alec Baldwin, and you get him in your film, and all of a sudden it's a selling point, as opposed to, my gosh, you know what Alec Baldwin has done for like the last 20 years, and all the sort of skirmishes with the law and all the things he said. He should have been canceled 20 years ago, but he's not. So it's what is the landscape of Hollywood, and those are some really good documentaries, by the way. I think in the past there may have been right-of-center films where maybe the filmmaking was a little rough and the budget was microscopic, but a lot of the films we're talking about are good films, are high-quality films, they're well-produced, they're handsomely put together, and there's no reason why people shouldn't see it, but sometimes it's a problem.
But Hollywood's never going to change their mind, are they?
Not at the moment. I don't see it in the foreseeable future. And I think what's going to go on right now is you're going to see some alternate platforms developing. The Daily Wire has gotten into this, and some others are coming soon where, hey, we are our own distribution platform. Come to us. We'll put out the content that can't get accepted elsewhere. And we'll have to see if the market will support these efforts. I hope so. I think it's good for in a lot of ways. And it's also it's good for Hollywood. I think the more competition, the better. They should be pressured with projects that maybe challenge their groupthink, and maybe you would force them to raise their game.
And it's not just Hollywood. I mean, in terms of TV and film, I was talking to a friend of mine who has friends that are songwriters. It's a husband and wife team, and he was saying, they want to get out of L.A., but there's nowhere they can go and still work. Even if they went to Nashville, it's the same culture. And the songs they write, the work they do, it's always his wife's name that is the lead. She gets the credit because if it was a duo, if it even includes a white male, then there's really no chance. A white female has enough problems, but you throw in a white male, and then you're DOA.
Interesting story in the Hollywood Reporter this week. They had an executive from ABC talking about how they passed on several new scripts, new shows for the network because they weren't diverse enough. There was one show with a white family. I said, well, that's a no-go. Well, then I saw it, and I actually wrote about this on my website yesterday. What about Modern Family? That show was a white family. There was some, there were a few Latino members of it, but the show ran for 11
one in
years.
one in particular that helped sell that show.
Right.
Modern Family. I'm sorry, Miss Vergara. I think you got to get her on the screen.
But if you went by the new rules that ABC has in place, and I checked this out, as far as diversity, 50% of the cast must be diverse or from underrepresented groups, the show wouldn't make it on the air. It'd be a squeaker, but it wouldn't make it on the air. So you wouldn't have 11 seasons of a really good show.
Well, so you mentioned and this is what Andrew Klavan, who's a great writer, screenwriter, and essentially gave up his career in Hollywood to become to come out as a conservative and to write books and to do podcasts and so forth. And he's great, and he's always, we're always talking about building our own castles. You can't expect your ideological adversaries to provide aid and comfort to you to promote your work. But the problem becomes, how do you get wide distribution? You don't just have to have your own platform for production and to some extent distribution, but if you don't create a streaming service that has critical mass, a la Netflix or an Amazon or a Hulu, then how do you make economic sense to produce this work?
Well, it gets even worse than that. Look at when the movie Unplanned came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Twitter temporarily banned its account. There's big tech influences that are trying to stymie all these different content that's out there. So what you said is absolutely true, but it's even more complicated and even more troublesome than that because of what Amazon does, because of what Twitter does, because of what Instagram does. They're all sort of in this same boat where they can put pressure on projects they don't like. So even if you kind of defy all the odds and you make your movie and you reach the masses, well, sorry, you've got to deal with more issues as well.
Well, right, and if you just say, well, okay, conservatives, you don't speak out, don't let anybody know you're a conservative, but your work product is going to be informed by your value system, the stories that you want to tell, and from the perspective that you want to tell them. And maybe for an actor, it's a little bit different, although I think there are complications there. But if you're on the production side as a screenwriter or a director, it's going to be, it's very, maybe Christopher Nolan can get away with some sort of, pro-American sentiment in the context of Batman or something like this, but it's going to be pretty narrow.
Yeah, listen, if you want to pitch a story that has themes that have those influences in them, good luck. Where's the story about Venezuelans suffering with their oppressive socialist government? I'm sure there are countless harrowing and dramatic and wonderful stories to tell, maybe heroism in the face of hardships, that kind of a thing. But those stories will not get greenlit. I don't know who would even attempt to pitch them because it's not the worldview. And I think that the Jon Voights and the Christopher Nolans of the world are really the exceptions. Jon Voight's a great actor and he's steadily employed and he's an open conservative. Yeah, but I don't think there are many Jon Voights out there. It's just one. He's a great actor, but he's the guy who can speak up because he's got the body of work behind him and the talent.
Yeah, right. Well, so your piece is how conservative filmmakers are starting to fight back, and you gave the example of sort of like the Daily Wire platform, and that obviously the work product there, from what I've seen, needs to greatly improve on the film side if that's going to be viable. But are there other examples that provide some hope that there's avenues for conservatives of any race, gender, that want to that path that they can pursue?
Well, there was something called Criado. I think that's the way you pronounce it. It's a budding new streaming service. I think Nick Searcy may be attached in some capacity. You need to double check that. Also, there's something called Loor TV, Loor TV, that is coming soon as well. Angel Studios is a spin-off of VidAngel, and they're getting into the sort of producing shows, distributing shows. There's a crowdfunding element to it, but they've had success with The Chosen, a really good faith-based season show, which is now in season 2. So it is coming, but again, so many obstacles in their way. Do they have enough cash? So, it's a gargantuan task facing them. But you know what? It's roughly half the country who is not being actively engaged, and there's a big market out there. So if it's done properly and it kind of can fly through all the different hoops, I think it can be successful.
And is it hard to find funding?
I think it is. I mean, I think people on the left are very generous when it comes to donating towards content and Hollywood-type fare. I think that people on the right traditionally have been, giving to candidates and giving to think tanks and giving to, different organizations. It's sort of a more traditional outlook, while the culture is being, basically handed over to people left of center.
Yeah, that's a huge issue, is right conservatives that do have resources seeding programs in the arts and projects in the arts. Absolutely. That's a good point, too. Christian Toto, he is the editor of HollywoodandToto.com. That's T-O-T-O, HollywoodandToto.com. Also check out his Real Clear Investigations piece, Denied Equal Opportunity in the Marketplace, Conservative Filmmakers Start to Fight Back. Christian, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At